Ready.
Ready?
What? Yes, I'm ready.
Well, it just started.
Welcome back to I Hate That Shit, a podcast about hating shit and loving life.
Loving life.
Here we are with the one and only.
Hi,
Thank
guys.
goodness,
Come
Bonnie.
on. That's right. She's right about that. You know how awesome I am. I hope this
I
finds
was talking
everybody.
about the one and only part.
You guys.
How does it find them?
I hope it finds them well. You guys, Liz is really being not nice to me today. Lizard. Well, what's going on
being
today?
An absolute delight. Actually.
All right. Well, what are we doing today? What's going on?
We
Tell
have
me.
a super duper special guest.
Yes, he is a special guest.
Who
for
is
a
that?
change.
Who?
Yeah, his name is Paul.
Me? Not me. Little me.
Yes.
Hello, you.
You guys, he's an awesome guy, and we've been trying to get him on the podcast for a while, and now we have him on the podcast, and we're excited to talk about S8.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Sex. But we're going to try to narrow it down because Liz says we can't just go off on any kind of tangent.
I just said don't make this a porn.
So why would we do this?
Let's be the best conversation
That's the
ever.
back end of it.
I was just about to ask you.
That's where you go to the back end. Wink, wink.
Okay. I was just about to ask, Liz, is there a level of pornography that is uncomfortable?
Not for me.
When does it get unhealthy?
That's a good question, actually. When is it? Is it when that's all you think about in your life is porn?
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like it's your opening. It's like gambling, right?
Mm.
It's probably like that. You're addicted to it. So if you're addicted to porn, it's all you're thinking about. But my thing, okay, since you don't want to make it
I
all,
feel like if it's like hours
Mm.
online,
that's so gross, man.
So would
you kind of have a disillusionment and a problem.
Let me ask you this question.
All right, let's go. Ask
Would
it
it
to
be
Liz.
maybe more like, what do you think, Liz, about if it impacts your life? Let's say alcoholism would, right? Gambling.
Mhm.
If it affects relationships, is that the level where you think it?
I do. I do because I think it's just like anything else when you're letting the important shit in your life fall by the wayside. If you're letting that fall by the wayside because you're addicted to porn or sex or going out to the titty bars or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
you're letting that stuff fall by the wayside. That's when I think it becomes an addiction, and I think that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
But it's not a problem. I don't care if Rocco wanted to
I mean,
watch
it's
porn.
a natural thing. Like,
It is.
whatever. But
And everyone gets
if
horny.
you can't
Control
function
it.
in life.
Mm.
Is it a function? Do you
Well, I'm
think
saying if
that's
you can't
a function,
function
everything
in
else,
life,
like what-
taking care of your kids,
Yeah.
What about
taking your wife out to dinner
Right.
or husband out to
Right.
dinner. Like,
what about?
I like where she's going. Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
So I was just going to ask, so could it possibly be when it becomes an isolationism? In other words,
yeah.
where it becomes just you and it pulls you away
Mm-hmm.
from
Yeah.
all of your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, the only
Yes.
time you find somebody is when they're locked in a room.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, I can't find, I need to go there.
All right. So on
Yeah, I
that
think that's
note, I agree with that. But on that note, does it become against social norms to only care about porn and not care about the things that are important in your life? Like you, like a functional alcoholic.
Do you
I was
think
married
it's
to
more
one.
because, porn and reality
Right.
are two completely different things.
Agreed.
And a lot of times people say the problem with kids watching porn, well, not kids, but teenagers
Right.
watching porn is because they fail to realize the reality of sex versus porn.
Agreed.
And so their expectations are different.
I agree.
That maybe that porn addiction is like because you have that fantasy world and you get addicted to it, like alcoholism.
Right.
You get drunk
Right.
and you don't have to deal with reality.
Functional
anymore.
alcoholics can act like they're
Drug
perfect.
addicts, whatever
Yes.
it is, it's a way to
Yes, I
not
agree.
deal with reality
I agree.
versus like normal, average, everyday sex.
What's okay? Average. What is
anything
average
that's,
though?
like, regular versus like
What is regular? What
jump
is average?
scenes and all that stuff.
What
This is
do
a
peop-
good topic.
What do people think is regular and average sex though?
But I think it depends on who you
The
talk
people,
to and where
right?
you go.
But
I
we
mean,
still
but
have.
even at that, there's like reality sex and edited
fantasy bullshit.
porn.
Right.
That's like directors and
Right.
an editing team.
Right.
And actors.
Agreed.
And
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know about that. I don't think I could be in a porn. I would laugh too much.
That might be the reason you get the porn. I'm just kidding.
I don't think I could do it though. I really don't think I could do that. One, okay, now since we're weaving all these conversations together, here's a good one. Sex and religion.
Oh.
Since I know we just talked about the Pope and politics,
Excellent.
what is it at the Catholic Church, right?
yeah.
The Catholic Church, you're not allowed to use birth control,
Yeah.
right? So you believe
They
in
do that in like fundamentalist church too.
Isn't that, so,
like fundamentalist Christians
so
are
you
not
can
Catholics,
have 10
but
kids, even though you can't afford them because you
Yeah.
choose not to.
like the fundamentalists are the ones
contraception.
that have like the 20 kids.
Yeah, why?
Like the television shows
Yeah.
that had like 19. That's
Yeah,
them. 'Cause
that's. What do you think about that? Tell us. I know you.
Gosh,
I
that
know
is a good
you.
one.
I know because I know how you feel. So tell us
At
what
what
you
point
think.
would you have
Well, no,
snuck
I
away
mean
from
about
your
how you
wife
feel
and had
about
a
the
vasectomy?
Bible and God. I know how
So-
you feel about all that.
So for the audience, the reason she loaded me for that, she knows how much I love God,
Yes.
and I'm all about God.
Me
He's the
too.
First in my life. So
Yep.
I am a strange one, though. I believe God and religion are two separate things.
Wait,
So I think they're separate.
I agree.
Because I first thing I tell all
How
my
so?
well, I have a lot of minister friends. I'm a minister. You may have not known that. And I can tell you the number one thing I said, I would ask them, like, look, would you say everything important is in this book?
Mm.
What do you think their answer is? Yes.
What was that?
My experience, yes.
Yeah, if you asked a minister of any church, Catholic or any, do you think that everything in this book is important? What do you think they all would say, Bonnie?
Yes.
Yes, 100%, right?
Yes.
Undeniable. Follow what's in the book. Isn't that the source of religion?
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
So then the interesting question becomes, if everything in the book is so important and God putting everything in there was to guide his children,
Yes.
why wouldn't he tell you what religion to be? Right?
Mind blown.
No, seriously.
I agree with
If
that.
everything is so
Yep. Agreed.
critically important to know, then God would say, you know what, guys, you have to all be Catholics, and this is why.
Uh-huh.
But because that doesn't happen,
Agreed.
I think it starts an automatic problem. I think there's great intention in religion,
Yeah.
but I think man's understanding goes one way and God's understanding is at a whole nother level. And that just, I think it's contributory because men by nature are a little bit arrogant. And it's almost
Dirty, dirty dogs.
Don't say.
like to know everything. Right?
Yeah.
You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
What? There's a man that's actually saying that.
Surely
It is true.
just
100%.
Okay, so anyway, with sex,
Get back to that.
does God
Hmm.
condone porn?
Okay, so the porn question's a tough one.
It is.
I would say this, though. He obviously is very much about sex. You know why? Because look at how much men are attracted to women, women are attracted to men, women are attracted to women. Look at the attraction, right?
Right?
It's a key point of our existence, right?
Yes,
we
it is.
procreate, we
Yes.
exist because of it.
Yes.
Well, if you believe in a God who designs, he would have had to make us that way. So I
Agreed.
personally would tell you, I think God's all about sex. I don't think he has any problems with it.
I don't think he does either.
I think it's like
I think
anything
if
else.
it's deviant, though, he might
Yes.
have a problem. with
That's
it.
the key.
Yeah.
I think it's to be considerate of someone else's feelings.
Yes.
So that if you're hurting them or controlling them or manipulating them, I think that could be a problem.
yeah.
And that's where I think porn could be a problem.
I agree with that. I agree.
Be honest, some of the best relationships I've ever had, we would watch porn together.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you laugh at things you see.
That's what I'm talking
sometimes
about.
sometimes you get adventurous and you try
Right.
the things you see.
Let's see. Maybe we can try that.
True story. First time I ever used ice cubes was because I got the ID question. And I mean, that's just a reality, right? And I'm going to tell you the truth, Bonnie. You know what actually made me go back to it? It wasn't what I got out of the ice cube. It's what she got out of the ice cube. And
That,
obviously, she
that's
responded
TMI,
well.
man.
I'm just being real.
I'm just kidding. I'm
So
just
we're
kidding.
not going to ask further questions.
What about me? You want to ask me a question,
Yeah.
Liz? Come on.
Does that,
Come on.
did that answer your
I
question?
didn't really
Yes, it
ask
did.
a
It did.
question.
Okay. I know. Sexuality and religion, the intersection of sexuality and religious beliefs can be a source of conflict and debate. concerning issues like contraception, premarital sex, and same-sex relationships.
I think that also
That's what
kinda,
I'm talking about.
That's like the people who say, you know, girls wear long dresses, men wear pants. Like you cover up, and
girls aren't supposed to
it
have long
goes
hair.
into like the interpretation
Of religion.
So like how he said like if everybody were one religion, it would be one belief. So like depending on which religion or which specific core belief, that's going to go into like, that's how you have the difference between like whether birth control is okay or it's not. And you
because
hide
of
behind
what?
the different religions.
Oh yeah,
and how you interpret. Like,
yeah. I have a problem with all of that. I
Mhm.
think at the end of the day, first of all, I'm not here to judge anybody. But I think if that's your belief, that's fine. We can put that on so many other topics.
Oh, you bet.
Me and him fight a lot about
Yes.
politics.
Oh,
A lot.
about everything.
About everything we do.
well, you just like to fight, Bonnie.
Both of us kind of actually do.
Hey,
But you know what?
And tomorrow's my birthday, everybody.
Yeah. That's
May
Happy
13th.
birthday to you.
Whatever. Okay. So we got that. Now my next question is how do we feel about societal norms? What they say about porn. If they shun people who do that, right? On Twitter, all these things you see people like the number one thing to give up is porn. You know, the number two thing is get a job. You know, so does society see porn as deviant?
Yeah.
I think they
I
do.
think society,
Especially here in
in
America.
the U.S.,
Yes.
Yeah.
especially, just
There's a stigma with it.
there's a
There
stigma
is.
with sex in general.
For sure.
I agree.
And it,
Like-
Why though?
But like you
It is
look
what
at,
It's weird. Why?
you get looked down upon if you're
Enjoy
a porn
it?
star.
Oh my gosh.
Or excuse me, an adult
Right.
movie star.
Or an adult entertainment.
Yeah.
Or a stripper, or
They're making money, man.
OnlyFans.
No, I don't
and
have a
it's
problem
like-
with any of that. If
But
they need to
those
make money, they need to make money.
money.
Exactly.
They
And
make more money than probably most people.
Oh yeah, they
Here's
do.
my
Those
You
old
could look
fans.
down on them, but they're making like 28 grand a month.
A month.
Can I tell you
It's crazy.
my feel on that? I kind of get that. I believe if it makes you happy, do it.
And you're not hurting anyone?
I say do it. Again, if it's not hurting you.
No, I
One thing, if
agree.
you're wrecking someone's marriage,
Yeah.
chances are the marriage was already wrecked.
Yeah,
Well,
if
that wouldn't be
especially
Or
right.
that's that person wrecking it themselves.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly right.
It's not
like it's not
shit.
your
I
job
agree.
to stop
agree.
them from going to the strip club.
I
It's not
agree.
your job to stop them from going to the prostitute
Agree.
or watch porn or
Agree.
look at OnlyFans.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's them wrecking their marriage.
Well, let me
That's
ask you
not
that
you.
question because you brought up something important. How much of this is derived in a relationship where there's neglect?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know, because think about this. I mean, you know, you always hear the saying, men have one-track minds, you know?
Wow.
I would say more of it is because, I mean, yes, neglect, but from that, it's the communication.
Agreed.
To be able to say, listen, I feel neglected. We need to figure out where's this disconnect, what's going on, as opposed to just shutting down
Mhm.
and separating and finding your own ways to cope with it, which could turn to more quote unquote dark stuff.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. If you do find yourself in a relationship with someone who is doing porn, my question is, if I feel neglected, how come? The reason I feel neglected, I should say, is because they're not having sex with me anymore. So, because they're all into the porn.
Mhm.
Now, that I think is a huge issue
Yeah.
about porn and about sex.
Yes.
Because you're like,
Agreed.
I'm neglected over here, but you're okay stroking your meat to a fucking video?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know? So, why? Of course I feel neglected. You're more concerned about something that's play acting or whatever you want to call it. But I'm flesh and blood here, and you don't even want to have sex with me. Why that disconnect? Why
That's a
that?
great question. I think Liz hit part of it with the
Yep.
communication. But
Mhm.
you're saying, so that's from a female perspective. Let me give you a male perspective. A lot of guys I talk to that I find when they have concerns about it and they've gone where they feel like too far.
Mhm.
It's when they feel like their wives have neglected them.
Right.
Because kids have come along.
Right.
Or jobs. There's
Right.
always something that seems to be more important to their wives
Right.
than their husbands.
Right.
And so because they feel like, well, I always feel like I'm putting her out if I ask or try to get her in the mood.
Right.
I just would rather go to porn because I don't want to deal with the rejection all the time.
Right. That's true too.
You see that vicious circle?
That is very true.
And to Liz's point,
That is
at
very
some
true.
point,
That is true.
they have to intersect and communicate.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be
And
some
I think
kind of
also, I mean, part of it is with the communication is also listening. Because I get what you're saying about the wives is always like, or I mean, husbands too, either way,
Yeah,
where
sure.
it's like something comes up where there's work, kids,
Right. There's always,
whatever.
that's life.
You
Mhm.
can't get defensive if somebody's like, listen, we have a disconnect
Yes.
and and this could be a problem or this could be a problem. Like, don't just get defensive.
Yeah,
about
if you're
it
all
and be
offended
like,
by it.
oh, no.
Especially if it's your
so
person
we're
you
gonna-
say you love.
Yeah.
If you're really, if sex is important to one person in the relationship, you know, and I know we're supposed to find common ground, we're supposed to compromise, all that stuff. But what if someone takes it a little bit further and you definitely don't have any communication with them, that you don't have you have a disconnect with them? So what are the solutions for that? Is it going to church and talking to a pastor about it or a priest or whatever?
Therapists and couples
Therapists,
counseling.
Counseling. Yes. I would say all of the above.
I would
Sometimes I think
too.
sometimes just a good friend.
Right.
To Liz's
I
point,
agree.
sometimes your friends
Yes.
listen better
I agree.
than your spouse immediately can
Agreed.
at least have you have a preliminary discussion so you kind of prep what you want to talk about when you talk
Agreed.
to your spouse.
Yes.
Because to your point, you know, emotions run high.
Yeah, they do.
When two people love each other, or they
Yes.
should love each other,
Right.
passion's always going to be a part of the conversation.
Oh, and it should be.
Someone's
Yeah.
going to get
It
defensive.
should, yep.
Someone's going to
Get
feel
all
a certain
butthurt.
way.
Yep. Agreed.
You're accusing me. You know, that accusation.
Yeah,
thing comes up.
God. Well, that's the thing about, okay, so here's the next topic on all that. Sex and intimacy,
No.
right? So you want to be intimate with your partner, whether it's your husband or whatever, just
Like
a
you
partner.
can be, even if
You
don't
watch porn?
jump right back into sex. Like if there is that
You can have
disconnect,
intimacy without
you
having
can have
sex.
that.
Yes,
you can start just building that intimacy.
Yeah.
I
But
100%
how do you do
agree.
that though? How do you tell your partner I'm
I have a
neglected? What? Go ahead, say
Can
it.
we give a solution? So we're talking a lot of people. So here's something I firmly believe in, and it's actually scriptural. I believe that the five senses you have for a very specific reason.
Hmm.
It's to experience life to the fullest.
Right?
When you feel like you've disconnected with a partner, the best way to get back to that is finding a way to trigger the senses of each other.
I agree
The
100%
smell,
with that. I agree.
the touch,
The smell.
No, and be honest. Remember
I
the movie
agree.
Scent of a Woman with
Oh
Al Pacino?
yeah. Oh yeah.
What
Wasn't he
man-
blind?
What man? Yes.
Yeah.
What man cannot attest to that? The scent
It's
of woman.
true.
There's something about the touch,
It's pheromones.
the feel. Yes, it's
I
an
love 'em.
immediate connection.
You know, well,
And I think intimacy starts to come.
I
back.
agree with that. I will touch on pheromones for a minute. I have been with Rocco 21 years now, and I always thought pheromones was bullshit, right? I did. I just thought, but I'm telling you, when me and Rocco started dating, I could smell his smell.
Wow.
It was so weird. I don't smell it now.
Yeah. Was it like raccoon?
It was
Like-
not. Babe, I know you're gonna listen to this, so I will punch him right now.
I was gonna say something too, but then I was like, no, Rocco's probably gonna listen.
But my thing is, okay, so I smelled it was weird. It's just like I couldn't smell anyone else, but
Interesting.
I could smell him. I used to tell him that all the time. I could smell you.
Wow.
It was so weird. I could smell his pheromones, and I'm
So-
sure, and that's what attracts people to each other. So I
Did
guess
you
it's
immediately
just
feel that attraction when you smell that? Was it an immediate impact on your
No.
senses? No.
no, it wasn't. I just thought, why can I smell him like that?
Interesting.
Because it wasn't like a funk smell or cologne
Nothing
smell.
like that.
It was him. It was his odor. It was his pheromones.
Yeah.
This was the most weirdest, bizarre thing ever. I don't smell him now. I mean, 20 some years later, it doesn't matter. But
But
at
if
first,
you went away for a long time
maybe.
and then that smell wore off from the house and like the pillow and everything, and then you come back, you'll be like,
But he would be gone 6 weeks at a time when he was up in Oregon. And I'd never smelt it again. After like the second year we were together, I've never smelt that. Pheromones are weird. That's what brings people together, though, are pheromones. Isn't that weird? It's like a bee.
But that's like people saying they sleep better, like if their significant others away, they sleep better if they like when they turn over and they like smell them on the pillow.
Yeah, I was going to go a whole different direction with that.
Why? What? Tell us.
I still think orgasm, specifically with my partner, with my wife, you know what? It is the world's best sleeping pill. I can tell you right now.
Oh, Rocco would
I
agree
could
with
have
that.
the entire house collapse.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't give a rat's
I
ass.
agree with that.
I
Men
could
are
go
like
sleep
that.
right in that moment.
Mhm.
It's almost like it's the closest thing I think I've ever felt to heaven.
I believe that. The
'Cause
guys
you
do
get in
believe
this
that.
moment, and
So
there's like
dumb.
nothing else. I'm just saying.
It's true, though. I agree.
And then I'm like, bam.
Yeah, out. Out.
And it's the best damn sleep.
Why is that? Why do guys fall asleep
I don't
after
know.
sex?
Because you know what's weird? Nicole would tell you it's exact opposite for her.
It is for
She
me
gets all
too.
energized. She
Me
wants to get up and
too.
do stuff.
Me too.
Isn't that wild?
It's so
And it's
wild.
kinda weird.
You know what? That's why I think God is a jokester.
Oh yeah.
Because men at 15, they want to fuck everything. They are hormonal. They love everything. Women don't reach that till they're older. And then what? Go ahead.
I gotta interject on that one because it's taking me back to my teenagers. Let's
See?
tell you, men are all about problem resolution.
Mhm.
That's why when you're a teenager and you're walking around and your pants are sticking out, it's a problem.
Yes, it
Okay?
is.
You only have a couple of ways to relieve that problem. The first one, isolationism through masturbation as a kid, it's embarrassing, right?
Why?
It just is. It's just a thing.
Why? I don't
know.
understand.
It's just
Women
a
don't
thing.
feel like that.
It was for me.
All like teenagers,
When I grew up,
all that. It's a weird time.
yeah,
It is a weird
And they
time.
It's a
don't
confidence
really
thing.
It is a
fully
problem.
understand it.
Right.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
Totally right.
Right.
That's how it was. So it's kind of like, I got to do something. Well, guess what the only other option is?
Right. Right.
That's it.
Well-
And so that's how that really starts ramping
Okay,
up.
so why didn't God? Because women, well, I think women have a higher sex drive than men do. I just feel that way.
Whoa.
I'm just
We got our
saying.
first debate time.
We do. I'm just saying. I'm saying that because
Do you agree with that?
I feel like it's always going to depend on the person.
Yeah.
Like
All right.
Bonnie probably has a higher sex drive than anybody on the planet.
it's definitely Rocco. Mine's way higher than his.
That's interesting.
He will even tell you that too. But my point about that is, so do I feel neglected because of it? I think as long as my partner is still meeting my needs,
Mhm.
sexually, emotionally, mentally, physically, I'm okay with it.
Mm.
But I think that that disconnect always happens if you throw porn in there, some other kind of sexual deviant acts in there. I think if one's not ready for it, they're kind of like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
It's like,
But I
and
think
then
it's
it's a
also
turn
that,
off.
like,
Yeah,
It's a turn off.
you understand,
Right,
right? So, like, you understand that your drive is higher.
right.
Sometimes people, I feel, don't understand that you could be at different levels.
All the time. It's up and down for
Even
everybody.
through different life
Exactly.
things going on in life, or just in you as a person.
Right. Agreed.
Like, it can be different, and it's always going to change and
It
shift.
does change. I agree with that too.
And sometimes you just have to, like,
Go with it.
deal with it.
Go with it and just deal with it. If you care about your partner, that's what you're
Whether
gonna do.
it's stepping up to meet their needs or stepping down to be like, okay, I understand.
Okay,
that
how
you
about
need
this
to
one?
Step away for a second.
Okay, here's
Like,
an ethical one.
Oh.
What about sexual violence?
I thought you were gonna throw up. Sexual.
I was burping. Sorry, folks, I was burping. I'm drinking an 805, and you guys, it's so good.
Sexual violence.
Okay, yes, sexual violence. Would you put that in the same category as watching too much porn?
Mm,
No.
what do you?
I'm not
mean?
talking about being raped.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about
Like BDSM type stuff?
yes.
I think
No,
that's-
I
No,
think
not so
that's-
much that, but like if I'm at home, my old man's in his room watching his porn, And he comes down because he's seen something and he wants to get all frisky, but he already in his mind has, I'm gonna beat her because I saw that and it's supposed to make her feel good. That kind of sexual violence I'm talking about.
you're so
Like B,
Okay.
what is it? S and M.
I mean,
S and M.
yeah, BDSM. Yeah,
Right. What does the B stand for?
bondage, domination, sadomasochism.
That's the only one I know. Sadist masochistic.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's I just
here's
learned
my-
something new.
my feeling on that is, although personally I'm not really into that thing because I'm kind of the limp side of pain. I don't like pain,
Yeah.
but I have had partners that enjoy pain. So in an effort to make sure they get full arousal, I mean, I'll do what they ask me to do to whatever limit that is. I
Right.
think it really is up to consenting adults at that point.
I agree with that.
I think that's the word is consent.
I agree.
That's why I was gonna say the same thing.
Then-
Like,
Right. So
if you just turn around and choke the shit out of your partner,
Yeah.
Right.
and they're like,
Yeah.
wait, hold
Way not cool.
on. What's going on
I
here?
wouldn't even go as far as whacking somebody's ass. I mean,
Yeah.
same thing. Some people might be more sensitive to having their ass
That's
spanked
true.
than others.
That's true.
Some,
That
like
goes.
If
that
you've
goes-
never done anything even close
right.
to it,
It would
Yeah.
freak
like
you
there's
out.
one thing of like
Oh,
pushing a
it would freak you
boundary
out.
versus like this is something completely new.
Right.
Let me beat this shit out of my partner, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
just like what hold
Right.
stop,
Right.
time out, or I'm calling
Right.
911.
I know, right?
Right. Well, that leads into fantasies and fetishes.
Oh shit, I love those.
I think again,
So-
like whatever it
so
is,
'cause
with
violence
that,
for
I
some
go back
people
to
is a
consent,
fetish.
Like you gotta,
This is my favorite
Right?
topic.
yeah.
Some people think violence is a fetish. A sexual
it can
violence.
be.
It can
like,
be.
It
Yeah, but-
can be.
so-
yeah. That's where you get BDSM.
Right.
It's like it is a fetish.
Fantasy. Yeah, fetish. Fantasy. Oh,
So
I think it's
first,
weird.
don't you think we have to like delineate between fantasy and reality? Because
That would help.
sometimes fantasy is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to fantasize.
Right.
It's another thing to actually make it a reality.
I agree.
Like you could fantasize a threesome,
Yeah.
but then by the
Don't
time you
mean
go
it's
through
always
that,
gonna happen.
right? But then you might go through that fantasy, make it a reality, and it not turn out to be the way you thought.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I say.
I was in a situation in college where I could tell you that the young lady, that's what she always wanted. And when she found it, she said right after that, she said, I realized I'm a one-on-one intimacy girl.
See, I
And
think
and
you
it
do
took
learn
that
that.
reality
Yes.
for her to understand it. And I
Agreed.
could totally respect that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right? No,
I
that-
agree. I
you know?
agree. I'm not about multiple partners.
Sometimes you
either.
gotta try stuff.
Yes.
You do gotta try. But here's the flip side of that. The fetishes and the fantasies
Oh,
is damn it, what was that? Three-way, right?
yeah.
So you want to you are fantasizing about this in your head, and you're like, well, I'm going to approach my partner, whether it's female or male. So you approach your partner, and they say, get the fuck out of here with that shit. That would be me, first of all. But how do you deal with that kind of rejection in your relationship
That's
when
good. That's good.
someone wants that, but you do not?
You know the answer you give it.
I'm trying to think of the proper way to say it.
It's the same when you say
It's which one? Communication.
yes, that is
Yeah,
it.
but okay,
But
I
it's
get that,
also-
but there's
it's like-
more though.
Because that's an abrupt thing, right?
It
It's
is.
you have to like. So you have to evaluate the relation. Is this a relationship that you really want?
Right.
Right.
Number one.
Number one. Because if you put it out there,
Exactly.
you have to either accept the no.
Yep. Exactly.
Maybe it's a yes.
Exactly.
Goes into
It's
the
a no for, it's a
communication.
no for me.
But
That's a good point.
if it's a no, you either have to accept that and say, I still love this person. I want to be with them, and
I don't wanna do
I'll
that.
sacrifice that because this
Exactly.
person's more important than that fantasy.
Find a different game.
Or if it's just something you have to be able to sacrifice the relationship. If that fantasy is more important to you
See, that doesn't make
than the
no
relationship,
sense.
the relationship was never going to work. to begin
Exactly.
with.
Agreed.
But it's like you have to make that choice. But you have to be open to the no.
Exactly.
No matter what the end outcome is.
Because it might lead to sexual violence.
It might end up to domestic violence.
That is so true. What do you say?
I just was going to just give you just a personal true confession. And
Oh, let's hear it. I love
go.
true. I ain't giving any of those on this show.
I am. I'm
You
gonna
already
give
have.
Mine is it's not what you expected. I honestly can really tell you the whole essence of my fantasy life
Mhm.
is what I would do to be naughty and get away with something.
Ooh.
As opposed to living it out really in my life. I really don't believe
So
it.
you don't want to live it out in your life. You want to live it out in the grass is always greener.
I always want to fantasize about it because in my fantasy world, it's perfect.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
But
of
in my
course.
reality world, it
You're
might
like,
not be.
no, I agree.
So
And then
what
it's
if
a disappointment.
What if you tried a threesome? You
Right.
talked your partner to, and she loved it.
Right. And you
then
did
wanted
it.
that all the time and didn't want to
Or
be
worse.
So you have to deal with all of the things.
Yes,
Or worse, she
yes.
loved the person
Yes,
that she was
right,
with,
right.
and you
And
end
then
up
you're
on
like,
the
I'm fucked.
sidelines.
What about that?
I'm fucked after
You're the
that.
one that ends up watching.
Yes. Oh.
So I might have always been just
Fuck all
Because
that.
that's how it is.
Yeah. I don't think I
There are
could deal with
plenty of
that.
stories where it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
suddenly the partner's on the sidelines.
It's just like, well, this isn't what I planned.
Mm.
But that's the thing about knowing your partner, though, too.
True.
Knowing your partner and knowing the boundaries that you can push.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can push certain boundaries, it'll probably be great for both of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I love about sex. What I love about sex, besides the intimacy, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be intimate. I just want to get fucked, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Can I tell you what I like about it? It's not gonna be what you think.
Oh,
Of course, I love orgasm. That's great, right?
Mm.
Every guy would be lying if he says he didn't love that.
Every girl too, honey.
Okay,
Put the girls in there too.
can't speak for a girl.
Well, I am.
do that. Okay, thank you for doing that. But honest to goodness, realism. As I've matured, I think I've realized that it's in the give of joy to my partner and the connection I feel after.
It makes you feel so much
That's
better. I
the
agree.
part I think that is the best now.
I think people miss that. I think people miss it because I think a lot of people see sex as
Objectified.
an obligation,
Yes.
or well, this is what she wants, but I don't want it, but I'll please her or him anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the disconnect in that, because I agree with that. I think if you're trying to please your partner, I think that it ends up, if both of you are trying to please your partner, that's
Best sex.
that's the best sex.
Absolutely right.
It's the
100%.
best sex if you both are trying to please each other.
Absolutely.
It's not, you're not holding any grudges. You're not being an asshole, and she's not being a bitch.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have
It's not
ulterior motives.
obligatory.
Right. It just and I believe the intimacy that comes from that kind of sex, it just builds. I think it just strengthens your relationship that much more, because there's no hidden agenda. You know, there's no hidden agenda about, well, I have to do this because it's my obligation. And you start resenting that fucking person
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you have to act like that.
The obligations are tough.
It is tough. But I mean, but we all have them. But the thing about sex is, because I think it's autonomous, right?
Mhm.
I don't have to have it if I don't want to. Now, if my partner comes to me and wants it, it's just like, but they should already understand, if I'm already in a bad way and then they come and they're rubbing up on me and everything, it's like, that's not going to turn me on anymore. I'm already pissed off.
Yeah.
It's not going to help your case to get in my pants by you acting like
But
that.
it might just get your mind off it.
It might get my mind off it, but that doesn't mean I still want to fuck them.
It might also piss her off even more.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
You know, so I mean, how do you put this all together to realize that sex is a very important part of a relationship? It really is. I mean, you can have sex to have children, procreate, just for fun, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Now, that moves us into same-sex marriages and same-sex sex. I don't have a problem with it. I have to say this first before we start talking about same-sex sex, especially with women. I have asked a lesbian this question. If you're a lesbian, and why are you laughing?
I just love that that's your expert opinion. Like, I asked a lesbian this question. So
And
I
no,
know.
I'm just saying.
I talked to the
Shut up. shut up, Liz.
I get it.
First of all,
She's trying to get a direct point of view.
That's what was the
Alright, go
point.
ahead.
Because
Sorry.
I had a question.
It's just the way you said it.
Okay,
Just
whatever.
This is good.
I had a question. And this was a question I asked the lesbian. If you're a lesbian,
what did the delegate say?
Yes, what do you mean? You don't like dick?
that was the question. If you don't like dick, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
Why do you wear a strap on?
Interesting.
Maybe it's
Right? Right?
Whoa.
Right?
Do you
Why?
think
Why do you wear a
maybe
strap
it's
on?
not liking dick, but not liking
But you still
not
like
being
the
attracted
Teacher.
to men.
Teacher.
but you still like the
Like
penetration.
the masculinity.
Teacher.
What do you
Well, I
got?
would say that there's some masculine
I'm
aspect.
wondering if it could be, if it's possible. I don't know, because well, yes, I am a lesbian. It's actually,
In a sense, you are.
so yeah, I guess it would be. I'm definitely a practicing lesbian.
Yes, you are.
I would say, I'm guessing. All my lesbian friends out there, you can correct me, okay?
Yes.
But possibly there's a bit of an element that comes with man with control
Right.
that might be a little bit of a massive turnoff. Possibly
I agree with lesbians. I agree with
from
that.
experiences in their lives or what have you.
I
But I
agree.
would think maybe the feeling and the connection of the understanding of another woman.
Right. That's exactly what this lesbian said.
Okay.
Was that
Was that what she said?
It was that
Lucky
it
you.
was the connection with another woman.
Mhm.
It had nothing to do with penetration or whatever
Got
you
it.
would say with the strap on.
Yeah.
But I just found
pretty
it
good answer.
odd. I just found it odd. I mean,
But that's a good
I
answer.
mean,
It
it's
is
the
it was a
sense,
good
like,
answer, but
asking
I
a gay man, like, why don't you want to stick your dick in a
pussy.
vagina instead of an asshole?
Right.
Like, it's. I don't think it's necessarily the penetration or lack there or whatever.
Is it just because you
It's.
just
I
don't
think
wanna?
it's the intimacy
I agree with
part
that. I agree with that
and being able to
100%.
connect
I agree with that too. So now here's
personally.
the segue to that. If we're talking about same-sex marriage or same-sex sex, what is God's opinion on that?
Oh man, no. Here's the truth to that. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
I mean, I'm going to tell you that we all think that we know, but nobody really knows.
I agree. I agree.
So, do I believe that men and women are designed the way they are to be creative, procreation, and all that? Yes, because we got to have that. However, I mean, you're asking questions like, I really think those are next level type.
I
questions.
agree too.
And I would love to tell you I have that amount of intelligence to give you a definitive answer.
No, none
but
of
I
us
don't.
do. No,
I really don't.
none of us
That's
really
fine.
do.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So that leads us to sex education.
Can I answer this marriage question?
Yes, of course, honey.
Personally, this is just my personal feel. The word marriage for marriage's sake is overrated.
I agree.
Okay? You're either married from your heart,
Yep. Like me
in
and
a
Rocco
special
are.
way only that you know,
Yeah,
or you're not.
I agree.
That's that.
I agree.
If you're gonna go, you're gonna go. If you're gonna stay, you're gonna stay.
I agree.
And that's how I feel about any of that. So, could you call it something else? Man, come up with your own cool name. Let's respect that.
Okay, well, what
If you need to do that. I mean,
what is the word after 7 years?
I just-
Common
my-
law?
well, here's the
I
weird part.
think common law is
Common
like
law
10
is,
years.
I don't have no idea. That's me and Rocco though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I honestly think it's so weird how we got to categorize it.
I know, it's so
I
stupid.
think
I
that's the
agree.
problem with most of your problem in the world, period.
Mhm.
We all have to be a race.
Yeah.
We all have to be a religion.
Yes.
We all have to be a political party.
Yes.
We all have to be a sexual preference.
Exactly.
We all have to be I think if we
I
just
agree.
get away from all of that
And all the
we need
labels.
to categorize stuff
I agree.
and just say, hey, I love this person.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
And
because
isn't that
I
enough?
love them.
And
It
isn't that
should be enough.
What I will
It
say
should
though
be.
is like when it comes to like gay marriage
Hmm.
is a lot of times people use religion
Hmm.
to go against it and say, well, it's a covenant under God between man and woman. It's like, okay, well, what if you're not Christian?
Right.
Like,
Right.
if you're not Christian and you get married,
Right.
you still accept it,
Right.
but a gay couple, you don't.
Right.
Here
Why?
is a
Like they're not making a covenant, and all I'm saying is like
I know
you're
what
not always making a
No.
covenant under God
Right.
if you're not. Like if you're atheist or
Right.
Buddhist or
Okay,
whatever.
that's fair. That's a very fair
you
point.
accept that
Right.
as not being a covenant under God,
Right.
but this you don't. because
of hypocrisy.
it's still something of like it's not fitting the narrative.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on now. I can.
Oh Lord, here we go.
And they destroy marriage, but yet
But now
like
reverse engineer that.
50% of marriages
So
end
that
in divorce. And
understanding
that's
what you just said.
Yes.
That's male and female
This is
marriages
good.
that end. 50%.
I'm going to take an atheist.
All right, let's
That's
hear
what
it.
I'm going to do.
Okay.
So I'm going the extreme.
Let's go.
Why would you have to have a feeling of marriage at all? By that same argument.
Wait, what?
Hold on. So if you're an atheist,
I think I get what
he
he's saying.
knows what I'm saying.
I don't.
So no, think about it. It's the reverse thinking of what I just said. If you believe God, love, procreation,
right.
Now I was thinking, let's take all of that out,
right,
and let's say from an atheist perspective.
Okay.
So in that atheist perspective, why would they even feel they need to be married anyway? If marriage is a covenant under God,
Right.
that's the way we've always been taught.
Right.
Throughout history, they wouldn't even need that.
Exactly.
Not even important to them.
Right.
Matter of fact, love might not even be a real word. It could be just a mythical thing.
Agreed with that
Yeah.
too.
Right? I mean, people could technically really say that, right?
Right. Yes, they
So
can.
what is the connection? What is the connection? What are we missing here?
I think
Right?
it's the same
Mm.
concept of people
What are
who
you-
think
don't
that
know.
marriage is important versus, say, like Bonnie, who doesn't think marriage is important.
No.
Like she's not.
No.
You and Rocco been together. You said 21 years, not officially married.
No.
But some other
It's not
people,
important to
like
me.
after 2-3 months, they get married,
Yes.
and they could be together for
I
the rest
agree
of their
with
life.
that.
But I think it's just
It's an American
a
thing, though.
personal.
Is it?
It's an American
No, I
thing
think
about
it's
being
a-
married because people in Africa or other places they jump the broom. You don't have to
But that's
physically have
marriage.
right, but you don't physically have to have a piece of paper to
Well,
say
that's
I'm married.
That's
So
U.S.
isn't it-
law.
Right,
it's,
that's what
it's
I'm
a
saying.
difference, but it's still marriage. That's still their husband or
So
their
are we
wife.
talking about being
That's
married in the eyes of man, under
Or
man's law,
God.
or under God's law? See,
Well,
I think, to me personally,
that's-
I think they're very different things.
I agree with
You know,
that.
I think
Mm.
from a legal aspect of settling things in a legal system that's put down by man, right?
Yeah.
Then I understand marriage between all sides.
Right.
I understand my gay friends' rights to be able to share
Right.
legally and
Right.
provide for the people they care for.
Right.
And they
Agreed.
absolutely should have some way to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that set aside, going back to the atheist,
Right.
talking about whether marriage would even be anything because it's not under God. There isn't a God in marriage. Maybe it's not even love. So what is the connection then to an atheist? Which we had an atheist here to tell us. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw a hypothetical. I'm going to throw a hypothetical. Doesn't mean I know anything because I don't. That's for sure.
Yeah, you
Let
know
me-
a lot.
Let me just put this out
I
there.
can't even believe I'm saying that every time you guys.
I only had this opportunity one time. I had a client, atheist, came in. And I only found out because I basically had said, God bless you, man. Because great person.
Right.
And he said to me, he literally, in all respect, he said, well, you know, I'm an atheist.
What would you say?
And I'm like, no, I didn't realize that. He says, "It's no problem. You probably didn't know to ask. It's okay."
Well, yeah.
And so immediately his next question is, how do you know God exists, Paul?
Oh God, I hate that
No,
question.
this is a
It's
great
so dumb.
question. I think it's
No,
great
I
because
think
it's
it
from the
comes
heart.
with the
Hold on.
intent behind it.
I
But let
agree.
me tell you the answer.
What was that?
I simply asked him a question. Have you ever loved anybody?
Yeah, when
You know what
love
his answer
someone,
was?
It's God,
He said, yes.
and you're seeing God.
No, I said, prove it.
No.
Because the same love you felt for that person that you can't prove is the same love I feel connected.
Amen, brother.
And that's where it comes from. The moment I saw my son's face when he was born,
Yeah.
everything about everything I thought was
Right.
different.
It is different.
I
I
thought of
agree.
myself only.
Yes.
When my son was born,
Yes.
I could care less what happened.
I agree. It's a
What
higher
could
calling.
change you that
Yeah,
fast?
I agree with that.
So
I agree with that. 100%.
I don't know. That's just my 8 cents.
But that's how I feel too about, but that's my point. I don't care if you are in a same-sex relationship, you have some S&M going on in your relationship, or you're, I don't want to say this word, so I'm not going to
What is it? Now I'm intrigued.
Somebody doesn't want to say.
Puritan. Let's just say Puritan.
How is that?
If you're someone
Well, say it.
that I forgot the word. If you're
Was it
someone who no,
Are you offended
no,
by that?
I'm not
She
offended by that.
doesn't like
Shut-
virgins over the 18.
You have a virgin phobia?
You're such a fucking
She will
Really?
harass
Who?
people.
Who?
Like, would you say? Just say?
Okay, that is kind of true. It's kind of true.
Now,
Not
granted, they
that
have
much.
to be
People think
over
it's-
18.
I don't have a problem with it. My thing about it is, how do you reconcile, let's say, as a mother, as a female, and one of my children, Whitney or Summer, they came to me and said they were gay, right? How am I going to feel about that? Because the first thing when people think of my child is gay, all they're thinking about is the sex aspect of it. They're not thinking about the love that they're getting from this person. They're not thinking about how this person makes them feel. They're not thinking about that this person actually is good for their person.
Are you saying they're coming to you with a partner?
No, they're
Saying
coming
they're
and
gay, or
saying,
they're just
I'm
saying
gay.
I'm gay.
I'm gay. What are you going to do
Because I
about
feel
it?
like there's two perspectives.
Which are,
There's the religious, well, now they're going to burn in hell,
right?
and I have to separate myself.
Exactly.
Or there's there are horrible people in this world that are going to think my child's going to burn in hell.
Yeah, it could be a
and
little bit of both.
harass and
And
torture them,
I
and
agree
they're
with
going to
that.
have a harder life.
I
because
agree
of
with
it.
that, all of that. But as a black woman, I've already had that hard life because of who I am.
So, I mean, that would
Oh,
add to
skin.
it. That would make
It would
even
add to it.
more
Exactly.
of a harder.
It would be more
life.
bullshit. It would, but I don't see that as, for me.
But I feel like if you're in a place, because there are places that are
Yeah.
accepting, or at least more accepting
But
than others,
more than not,
where
though,
you could be
right? There's more
Yeah.
people that don't accept same-sex relationships
Yeah.
because we live in a Puritan
I feel like as a
society in
parent,
America.
just period, and I say this as not being a parent
Right.
at all. So, but as a child,
Right.
I feel like you should just love your
No matter
child.
what.
Like that's your child at the end of the day.
My mother's...
Whether
my
you
mother's
want them or
best friend.
not,
Yes,
that's
exactly.
your child.
My mother's best friend has a son who is gay, and she totally 100% disowned him. And
Yeah.
now that she's old, she wants him back in her life. But you already said kick rocks, motherfucker. Bye. Peace out.
That's
Just
a
because
hard bridge
he
to
chose to
rebuild.
love who he loves. Love is love, I thought. I mean, maybe I'm saying all the taglines, all of that shit, but at the end of the day, I can't judge you. Society's gonna judge your ass, but at the end of the day, when we're dead and buried and Jesus raises us from the dead, who's gonna judge us? Not that motherfucker that said you're a piece of shit because you're gay. You know what I'm saying? Am I right in that?
Well, I'll just say this. I will say this. According to the scripture I follow,
Right.
and I believe,
Right.
nowhere does it say same sex is an unforgivable sin in and of itself. It doesn't even say that.
Holla!
Yes. The point that I'm making to that is the only sin spoken in the scripture that's unforgivable is blasphemy.
Exactly.
That is the only thing
I
in
agree.
scripture that God says he will not forgive.
I agree.
So I just take it to the very basics. I don't
Right.
try to like read between the lines like a lot of
Exactly.
people do.
Agreed.
I just read what's there and I try to apply it.
I agree with that.
And whether you believe he's God, son of God, whatever you believe, for me he is. But for me, having a nice book, a manual that connects the dots,
That's why I
teaches
said
you how to be a good person.
A good person.
And none of us are perfect.
No.
But we all should strive to get better.
Amen to that.
I think it's a wonderful tool.
I agree with that.
When it comes to oversimplification, I mean, saying the word love is a grand word.
It is. It's a big grand gesture too.
And I would challenge all conventional wisdom on it. I think most people think love is a weakness. I think love is the strength.
I agree with that.
Love is the one strength that exists in this world.
Agreed.
To me, wrath, that's a weakness.
Yes.
It takes a very special person.
All of those sinful sins
Yeah.
Those deadly sins
are
are
easy to
all.
do. That
Those are.
stuff's easy to
It
do.
is
Anyway,
easy.
dude.
That's the.
I could
That's
get mad at
the
Bonnie
point.
and I could haul off and hit her.
Yeah.
That would be the easiest thing for me
and
to
what
do.
will it do?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Zero. Helps neither
Exactly.
side.
Nope, it doesn't. I think if people, since we're talking about sex, I think if people really want to know how their partner is, or they're thinking about getting into a partnership with whether it be a man or a woman or a man, whatever. I think if you really start with communication, expressing your desires, I think that it would lead to both partners being happy. And I think in the long term, I think that it would be good for your relationship if you are honest. How many relationships? I mean, even if you read it or you hear from friends, how many relationships? Oh well, he cheated on her or she cheated on him, and it's because they weren't honest with each other. They weren't honest in their desires of what they wanted in bed because they weren't communicating. And I think that has a lot to do with you see relationships that end after 40 years, which blows me away. And one of the biggest things they say is because communication and there was no desire to sleep with each other because they have become complacent in that relationship. And I think when you become complacent in your relationship and you're not trying anymore, you're not injecting something new into the relationship, it's a downfall of a lot of relationships. Personally, I think that.
Yeah. No, I would say indifference and complacency definitely. I mean, it's interesting we're talking about, and how we talked about sex,
Mm-hmm.
right? We
Yeah.
started with sex, right?
Yeah.
And all the cool things about it. I think it really just comes down to we all have wonderful things to share with one another.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
that we're very blessed
Yes.
to be able to share the most intimate, hopefully with one partner. But
Exactly.
that's where we're at.
Exactly.
And my wish for everybody here today and listening to us is that they have that much love somewhere in their life.
Amen.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I think if anybody gets anything out of our podcast today, it's to know that you're worth something.
Yes. You
That
are.
you have something valuable, no matter
Yes,
what
you
you're
do.
going through.
Exactly.
No
Agreed.
matter what one person thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Try to find the good things in your life
Agreed.
and focus more on those than the things that are not so great.
Yep. Agreed.
Because problems can be solved.
Yes, they can. There's a solution. I agree with
I
that.
look at our friendship,
Yes.
right?
Ugh. Yeah.
We're like, you would know that we're totally two different aisles of the political spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
We are being what most people say you cannot be.
Yes.
We are best of friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Well, it's
decide to
because
pull
we're-
together, not pull apart.
It's because we're grown also.
Yeah.
We have a level of maturity that you
Here's
can have
the thing.
two.
Bonnie likes
two.
to talk shit about people who don't have the same political views.
Boy, this is good.
But if she actually talks to anybody she actually talks to, she'll start accepting them.
I accept everybody almost.
But you know what that actually
But
is
if
a sign
you
of?
start with like,
That's actually a
if
sign
she
of
knows off the
intelligence.
bat,
When someone is
It'll-
open-minded enough to listen, that's the first sign.
And why shouldn't I be? Why should
No,
we be?
100%.
Exactly.
We all
Why
should be that
should
way.
be like that? Because everyone doesn't
Yes.
fit into the same fucking little box.
I'm with
The
it.
same square.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know if it's because of the way I was raised, who I am as a person, being a bartender, meeting all kinds of people. I choose not to judge people. Now, laugh at them, maybe, but I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, I'm so much better than them because I don't think like that. So many people think like that in our society, and especially in America right now. Right now, we were the Plymouth Rock when that happened. They were what, Puritans?
yeah.
Okay, so there's the word you already know. That's why sex is the way it is in America right now.
Talking Quaker?
People, Quakers, Puritans, everyone has a fucking corn cob stuck up their ass when it comes to fucking
that was
sex.
BDSM.
Whatever. Whenever
Think it
people
was in
talk
the
about
fetishes?
sex.
Hey, if you
And
stuck a corn
fantasy?
cob up your ass and it got really hot, would it make popcorn?
No, I already ate the corn off the top.
It's just terrible. We're just terrible. We're just throwing stupid what ifs.
If you fart, does popcorn start?
No, that's so gross. That is what everyone should strive for. Being non-judgmental and understanding.
Yeah.
No one has any tolerance for people anymore.
You know what I tell my kids? This is what I tell my daughter every day. This is the biggest weapon you have to unarm anyone. Laugh at yourself first.
Agreed.
The moment you
Agreed.
laugh at yourself, you've totally disarmed.
You've taken the power from everybody. I
Start
agree. I
Don't
100%
take
agree with
yourself
that.
that damn serious.
No,
Life is not that damn
it
serious.
isn't
Real
that
life.
serious.
I could tell you the irony and the jokes that happen in my daily life.
Yeah.
That if I took it that serious, I could never get up the next day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I could not function.
No, you couldn't.
You just got to really learn to enjoy what you have the moment you're in because you just don't know.
You don't know. And I agree with that. And I think that's a perfect spot to end.
So love long and love often.
Yes.
Is that our message?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Let's
good.
love long and love often.
And enjoy
Let's laugh
sex
together.
as much as you can.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could be
Responsibly.
dead the next another fucking day.
Yes.
So irresponsible.
And consensually.
And consensually. All that other stuff, fuck off. And you can fuck off too, because it has to be between two people, whether it's however those go. Except, okay, before I do have one more thing to say. It just hit me right here now.
Uh-oh.
Bestiality.
Oh, geez. You really went way up.
I did, it just hit me. So,
I don't think that. Listen, I
hate to say this.
go on, Liz.
don't think that can technically ever be consensual.
No.
I don't think it's moral personally, but I mean,
I don't either.
But
I don't know, it just hit me to say that.
This is a whole new show. It's a totally different
That's
show.
for the next
That'll be
episode.
for the next
Because
episode.
this is for all my LGBTQ friends. I got lots of
It's
them.
for everybody.
But I always ask them the
I
same
don't
thing.
think they
You know my
claim the
question is?
bestiality
What is it?
people.
What does the plus mean?
Because there's like a whole fucking alphabet to it, man.
That's what I'm getting at. What does the
Like-
plus mean?
Mhm. What is it,
LGBTQ,
Liz?
what's
Do you
the plus
know?
mean?
I don't know. I just know there were a bunch of other letters
we're not
that
going
were
that
on
way.
it, and they added the plus.
Please, friends. Please,
Yeah.
friends, don't go to pedophilia and bestiality, please.
No, I agree.
I don't think those were
I
not
hope not.
100% not
I'm
in
hoping
it.
not.
No.
They did not claim them.
No,
I should.
no.
They
Right,
tried to include themselves,
so
but they didn't. They
I'm
were like,
going to
nah.
end it by saying this.
What?
So the tips and all
Said
the
99,
things that
99.
we've all said, I think if you really, like Liz says, communication and desire is a very big thing. And I think if couples can create a safe and supportive space to explore their sexual needs and desires, leading to a more fulfilling and intimate relationship.
Togetherness.
Boom!
Yes.
Right, Liz?
Right.
Right, Paul?
Yo.
Yo! And on
Break
that
it
note,
down.
do you have anything else to say before
No.
we end this?
Actually, I just had a great time today. I want to thank both
Today
of my
was-
friends
Aw.
for
Thank you for
You
coming.
can come on
That's
anytime you
fine.
want.
because togetherness is cool, man.
We'll definitely have to put them on camera next time. This
Yeah.
one, of course, we don't. The cameras are at my house. We're at the restaurant. So on that note, don't let shit get you down.
No,
You're not alone.
because we hate that shit.
We're all in this shit together.
That's the shit we hate.
That's the shit we hate. Peace.
In this together.
No, what?